I tracked every second of my life in 2025 and it ruined everything I thought about productivity. In this video, I'll show you the habits, systems, and stories that transformed my year. Like when my worst fear came true after I mustered up the courage to say no to someone. I'll explain my entire life tracking setup and why I even started tracking, my key results and biggest surprises, and lastly, my best lessons learned featuring some interesting stories. So when I tell people I've tracked every second of my life, they usually ask, why? If you were a creative kid and you loved writing, drawing, reading, origami, then you will love tracking. I know that tracking is like, ew, numbers, data, but you would be surprised how cool and creative it is. It all started when I was 12 years old in my home economics class, and for some reason, the teachers wanted us to track how many cups of fruits and vegetables we ate that week. So I took home my little worksheet, and because I wanted a good grade in the class, I said that I ate all the daily recommended servings of fruits and vegetables, and I made sure I wasn't cheating the worksheet, so I actually did eat that many fruits and vegetables. I noticed then how the act of tracking impacted my behavior, and I also just felt so much better that week with so much more energy after eating fruits and vegetables. And a few years later, oh my god, more than 10 years later, but technically my biological age is like 12.6, so whatever, still 12 mentally in my head. Anyway, I have since graduated from pen and paper to digital systems, which I will be showing you. And the tracking that I do digitally can be very granular, like tracking every second of my time, or it can be tracking more general, broader things, like how I tracked one new skill I learned every single month last year. This challenge actually led me to scaring my neighbor by accident, but I'll save that story for the last section in this video. So what are the digital tools that I used for tracking my time? It's a lot simpler than you would think. It's just Notion, which you can use Obsidian or any other tool you're comfortable with. I also use Toggle Track because a lot of people actually track their time manually using spreadsheets, and I'm like, I can't. So I use Toggle Track because I'm lazy. They have like a nifty little app that you can add to your automations, and I actually have a bunch of buttons as a automation widget on my home screen, and when you click the button, it changes the timer, and it's so easy. All I have to do is click buttons, which I love to do. Another tool I use, especially for analyzing the data and creating the dashboards, are Google Sheets and Looker Studio. All of these tools are free, and I have the tutorial video somewhere on my channel and a template / full data analysis lesson. I'll link that in the description below. Now, when you look at all these tools, you might be overwhelmed and think that this is a lot. But remember, I am a lazy ADHD girly who forgets everything. So if I can build these systems that work for my brain, then you can definitely try to as well, inspired by the things that I share in this video. I actually had somebody on Instagram message me that they saw my life tracking video like 2 years ago, and it inspired them to track everything in their life as well. And after a few months, they noticed a big difference and their life completely changed. I think they went to school or get masters or something, but they sent me a huge paragraph and I was like, oh my gosh, they saw one video and just like made it their own system. As you're watching this video, I hope that you're not trying to like copy my homework and do everything I do, because my brain and my lifestyle might be very different from yours. I would love for you to take inspiration from the things that I share. And if you find that the systems aren't really working for you, you can pinpoint why and then adapt them to work better for you. For example, everybody makes to-do lists, and I spent forever trying all these different to-do list apps, but none of them worked. However, I took inspiration from them and figured out the reason why they weren't working was because all the to-dos would pile up, and then because like I procrastinated, so all the to-dos would pile up and I would get overwhelmed, because not only did I have to do the things on the list, I have to like reschedule everything, and it was too much admin. I created a system by myself called the TTL system, today, tomorrow, and later. If I don't get to it today, it stays on today. I don't have to reschedule anything. It's so easy and so simple, and I have been using it for years now. It's the only thing that stuck with me. So that's an example that you can adapt to your system as well. Here were my biggest surprises from years of tracking my entire life. Tracking every second of my time felt like such a waste. I'm like having to change my timer whenever I change to a new task. And this doesn't have to be super granular. Sometimes I'm like, if I do admin, like email and texting people and other things, I just track it all under admin. But I was like, tracking every second feels kind of like a waste of time because I constantly have to change the timer. But what I found was actually it gave me a lot of my time back because I had to change the timer it would make me pause a little bit and think more intentionally. Like when I change the timer to do this new activity, is this new activity really living by my values and bringing me closer to my goals? Do I really want to do this activity right now? Literally this morning, I was just kind of lying down here, going on my phone, and I was about to change the timer to doom scroll time because what else was I gonna do? I didn't have any intention or plan for the day. And I was like, wait a second, I don't want to change the timer and see doom scroll when I look back on my day. So then I changed it to read, and I read my book instead and felt more fulfilled and inspired. That timer also gave me more accountability. Like nobody was watching my timer, but the act of tracking, you know that you might go back and see that yourself. For example, one of my students who also started tracking his time 24/7 actually completely stopped snoozing his alarm because when he would change the sleep time to get up time, you can't snooze anymore. You have to get up. That would be cheating the timer if you said get up on the timer, but then you were snoozing in bed. The other thing I tracked was I wrote down one thing I wanted to improve about the day every single night. So if during the day I had a nice thought about somebody and I didn't tell them, I would write, next time I will tell somebody a compliment that is genuine whenever I think that about them. And day by day, when this adds up and you constantly have it at the top of your mind, tracking this every single night, then these actions compound. And if you're worried about forgetting to do these habits, because I get it, I am also very forgetful, you can set up these automations yourself. There's a cue that I have, which is like alarms, reminders. I can just go on my watch or my phone and be like, hey Siri, remind me to do X at Y time. There would be all these things that are like in my face. The reminders never go away until I complete them. The alarms are always like ringing and ringing every time I snooze them. And you can set up triggers and automations so that when you exit out of an alarm or when you check a reminder is done, it'll launch into opening this app so you can take this action, so you can press a button. If you make it so easy for yourself where it's like just pressing buttons, like for example, at night, you're journaling and it's like, did you live by your values today? And you press the yes button and it gets you to reflect, and you can just like do multiple choice selections and you're just in bed pressing buttons. That's so fun to do every night. And my students are like, for my life tracking course, they're like, I feel such a sense of closure. Like my day is complete and I feel a weight lifted off my shoulders and I can go to sleep. That feeling is so rewarding, and that's what's gonna keep you consistent, because when you're living this life and you know that you're taking actions that bring you closer to your goals, that is living by your values, you're gonna want to continue doing it instead of always feeling guilty and ashamed. Like you wanna avoid taking these actions because you're forcing yourself to lock in all the time. Like no, the energy that we want through tracking and the realizations that we wanna have from seeing our tracking data and doing the behavior tracking is that you want to encourage yourself, be gentle with yourself, and see that, wow, you actually did a lot more than you thought you did. If during the day you're like, oh, I did nothing today, and then you look at your time tracking and it's actually a bunch of things, you're like, oh, I feel better about myself. You feel more motivated, and therefore those feelings and actions compound and you end up being more productive because you feel better. So I actually wanted to track because I'm like, where's all my time going? I should be using more of my time to work. But the opposite kind of happened because I thought my side quests, like learning how to sew, playing pickleball instead of working, were time wasters. When I was tracking my time, I was like, maybe I should cut these activities out because they weren't work. But then when I reflect back on my year and I look at all of my time tracking data, those side quests were my most cherished memories, the things that I remembered the most. So that kind of vibe checked me and got me to reevaluate what was really important to me. So when I realized with my tracking that these side quests and things that I thought were wasting time were actually what made my life worth living and remembering, I stopped feeling as guilty about having fun instead of working all the time. I stopped feeling as overwhelmed and I stopped feeling as ashamed. And then when you aren't constantly beating yourself up for not being productive all the time, and when you just like accept that you can go and relax and have fun, even if you feel behind, then you become a lot more motivated and have a lot more energy to actually get the things done that you want to get done. It's kind of ironic, like the more you relax and rest, the more energy you have to get more productive things done. But can I actually spend all my time having fun? Like at some point I should be getting some work done, right? And that brings us to section 3, lessons learned, because to examine that, I need to share a few stories. Reflecting back on what actually moved the needle and made me feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose in this world were moments that I felt very bold and aligned despite having some kind of fear. So like in 2024, I got laid off and I launched my course, and I just felt so excited to make this course. It was really fun. I had to put in some work. It was many hours, but it was really fun, so it didn't feel like work, and it felt fulfilling as well. Of course, I was scared that nobody would purchase the course, but I kept pushing because it felt very aligned. I wanted to help people, and this course was a way to do that. Keep in mind, I was in the middle of traveling when all this happened, but I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm moving different places every few weeks. Like, I can't make this course right now. I was just like, this feels right. I want to do this right now. And then I made it happen. And this course has impacted me and so many other people. However, in 2025, I feel like I forgot some of these lessons because I kept trying to force things. I kept trying to lock in. I felt really stuck. I was falling behind on my weekly and monthly reflections. I kind of kept creating all this fear for myself, which obviously did not make me feel good or aligned or excited. I just felt like, I want to try this. And I stopped myself because I was scared. I was like, what if people don't like it? What if it fails? No, I shouldn't do this. And because there was that, like, I want to do this, but I'm stopping myself, I felt so stuck. And that energy was not great for me mentally. Whereas in 2024, I felt so aligned because I wanted to do things, ignored the fears or like kind of overcame them and did them. And then even if the results or the outcomes weren't as I had hoped, even if I got no sales, I would have been happy that I at least tried it and lived a life that I wanted to. I have my full income reports from 2024 and 2025 written somewhere in my newsletter, so I'll be sure to link that below. So when I really just had fun with life and did what I felt was right, what I wanted to do, regardless of what other people were telling me, regardless of what other people were doing, because I tended to compare myself to others a lot, things just flowed so much easier and I felt confident and motivated and excited. That's why I feel like a lot of ADHD people, we struggle so much because then you're seeing other people, it's like they're scheduling their content, they have a content calendar, they have this and this research plan structured. And I'm like, why doesn't this work for me? Like, I can't plan my stuff. This is so frustrating. I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. Something's not working. But as soon as I'm like, no, I want to do this. This is what I like. This is what works for me. I know myself. Don't look at what other people are doing. That's when I find the most results. When I was just doing my random side quests, not even related to my business, I made a post about it because I was so excited to share it, and it went viral and got me probably a lot of money because a bunch of people subscribed to my email list after that and purchased my courses and other products. I think I made a few thousand that month that I posted that video that went viral. You can check it in my income report. But that thing that I was so excited about, all my side quests and hobbies, that was my 12 skills in 12 months challenge, where I was learning one new skill every month. I have a template and video tutorials on it linked in the description. But that actually inspired this year's challenge, which is I just want to do something that I'm scared of. Because every time I do that, I realize that the fear that was holding me back so much wasn't even that scary. So that's how I scared my neighbor, because I wanted to build community in my apartment building. I wanted to introduce myself to people, but months passed by and I told myself I didn't have time, or maybe they didn't want to talk to me. And the other day, I think like 2 days ago, I was like, no, I want to do this. I need to face this fear because it's worth overcoming. And I know when I move out, I'm gonna regret not reaching out to my neighbors, not trying to introduce myself, because then I'll always be wondering, what if we could have been really good friends? So I knocked on a few doors. My heart was pounding so fast. And I think the fact that I was recording it, like kind of vlogging the process, it helped a lot because it felt like someone was there with me and I wasn't as alone. So I actually knocked on a few doors. Nobody answered. And I was like pacing the hallways being like, oh my God, what do I do? Should I try again later? And finally, someone answered and asked if I was okay. Apparently, I had scared her a little bit because nobody knocks on apartment people's doors like that. But I made a new friend. We got each other's numbers. We're gonna walk and work out together. And I am just so grateful I did that and kind of overcame that small fear, because in retrospect, the fear actually was not that much. And the fulfillment that I get from the result, actually, regardless of what the result is, the fulfillment that I get from just trying and trusting myself, I think that feels so much better than the fear. And that's why I want to push myself more this year. My word of the year is alignment because of it. Now, I have 2 more stories so you can kind of really understand the point I'm trying to get across here, and me just like consolidating all of these insights and feelings from years of tracking, so that if you don't want to track, then at least you can still understand a small part of how it really feels to live authentically and in alignment. So the first story was from earlier last year. I felt so stressed because I was like, how are we gonna achieve hitting 1 million views? I was working with a company and we had these creators. I had to coach them to hit 1 million views in a week. And I was like, oh my gosh, how is this possible? Like, I don't even get that many views recently. Like, my views have been down. I was talking to one of the creators and he was so confident. I was like, is he in denial? But he was so confident, like he traveled to the future and already saw what was happening. And I tried to fake that confidence and I was like, okay, yeah, we'll get 1 million. A few days later, he hit 5 million views. I was like, wait, what if I embodied that confidence for myself? I wonder what would happen. You know, he was just so excited and confident and really trusted himself. And I noticed with some of the other creators that I coached who also got millions of views after that, they kept telling me like, thank you for believing in me. And I was like, wow, the power of belief really is something else. And then when I see my time tracking, when I see all the wins that I have documented and journaled, I start to reclaim a little bit of that belief back instead of beating myself up all the time, feeling shame and guilt and overwhelm and stuckness and feeling behind. I kind of reclaim back that belief in myself, and incredible things happen when I feel that way. Now, the other story was when I was so scared. I took on some contract work that wasn't really aligned, but I had delulu hope and stuff because I'm an optimistic person. I ended up telling the person that I didn't want to do the work for them anymore. Like, we had to part ways. And he straight up told me, I'm disappointed in you. I don't know what happened, but when he said that to me, I didn't feel upset. That was like my worst fear, to have somebody tell me that when I was so scared to tell them like, hey, no, this isn't working out, we have to part ways. When he told me that, something shifted in me. And I was like, wait, this actually isn't as bad as I thought it would be. You know, I was reading Nonviolent Communication, incredible book, changed my life. And it made me realize that I was so scared of other people rejecting me and other people saying no to me. But then I realized that when they say no to me, it just means that they wanted or needed something that they didn't think they could get in whatever we were doing. So when somebody was saying no to me, like if I told my honest thoughts to a friend and a friend was like, goodbye, I don't want to be friends anymore, maybe they needed to feel safe and accepted and understood. And when I gave that piece of feedback to the friend, they didn't feel that way. Once I saw it, that it was like a projection or a reflection of them, I began to realize that it's not scary because it's not a reflection of me. It's not that I'm mean or a bad friend. It's just that I can understand what they needed and try and see how I can help them meet those needs, even if they're saying all these weird or mean things or things that I was scared of. Because once I saw past that, I became less scared. You know, like if you wanted to start your own content business and you're too scared to, figure out what judgments you had of yourself or of other people. Maybe it's like a projection or something, and ask yourself why 5 times to get to the root cause of it. An example is I'm a runner and I used to see people running on the street and be like, oh, they're running really slow, I can beat them, I'm faster than them. And that judgment that I made about their pace reflected my own insecurity about my own running pace, my fears that I was running really slowly, because I had this memory in high school when I tried out for a running team and I was one of the slowest runners who tried out. I realized later on as I learned more about running that slow running actually helps you run faster. It's zone 2 training. So if I held on to that judgment and didn't really let go of it or be open to alternative interpretations, then it would not have served me. I would have probably stayed slow, which is what I was fearing, instead of being open to training better and smarter and bringing me closer to my goals. So I really encourage you to examine your beliefs this year. And if you're watching this video thinking, this is all too complicated, I can't track everything, then your actions are gonna reflect that belief. And as somebody who tracks her life 24/7, do I feel completely organized and put together even though I'm supposed to know where every second of my life goes because I track it? No, but that wasn't really the goal of tracking. I didn't need to know all that. I don't even remember what I do during the day because it's the act of tracking that I care about. Starting and stopping that timer, writing in my journal every night, because it changes my behavior when I'm able to see these things instead of just forgetting about them, like seeing my wins and cheering myself on, feeling motivated instead of just forgetting them and focusing only on my failures. All of that changes my behavior, which changes my mindset, which changes my energy, and I feel more motivated motivated. So I hope that tracking feels a bit less intimidating for you now and that it can transform your life like it did for me. If you want more positive energy and tracking tutorials like unhinged poop automations, make sure to check out some of my other videos. But in the meantime, I will see you in the next video.